Hi everybody, this is Susan. Thanks for visiting my channel, and today I'm going to be doing something different, something I've never done before, and that is sharing my sketchbook. So this is my first sketchbook share of my first sketchbook. This sketchbook is as completed as it's going to get. There are a few blank pages in the back, and I've been working on it for about a year now, and have finally finished it up pretty much. And it was just a brown, here, let me show you one of the pages in the back, just a brown old sketchbook I got, I think, at Barnes & Noble. Nothing fancy about it, just with sketching paper in it. I learned pretty quickly that this does not work really well for watercolor, but I did watercolor in it, and it worked out okay. I learned why I like to use watercolor paper, and then it eventually started to fall apart, so I got some colorful duct tape and I taped all over the cover to keep it together. I also got this nice little pouch that I don't know if you can see, but it has elastic, and it elastics onto the front of the sketchbook, so I had my drawing supplies with me wherever I took it, and I really tried to take it with me, especially when I went on vacations, when I was riding on public transport. This is a lot of my family pictures are in there, family drawings, pictures I took on vacation, and some pictures that I've just done around the house. So be kind if you leave comments. It's sort of a personal thing, and honestly, I'm a little nervous about sharing it. So, but, you know, it is what it is. I hope this will encourage somebody else to do a sketchbook. It's not one of these beautiful sketchbooks like people show on YouTube all the time. This is just a working sketchbook from someone who is trying to figure things out, just like a lot of y'all are. And what got me going on this sketchbook was I did a Domestica course by a fellow called Felix Schoenberg, and I will try and link to that below. He's got a very loose, fun style of painting, and I wanted to loosen up. He uses a lot of text. He uses a lot of color. It was a really great course. And he suggested in your sketchbook, don't do it in a linear fashion. Just open it wherever and do your sketch for that day. Don't start at the beginning and work your way to the end. So that's why I started doing my sketchbook. And this is the first sketch I did in it. It's all very much his style, loose, splatters, colorful. It was fun to do. I really like this. The one thing I didn't like, though, was not having things arranged from front to back, just opening up in the middle. I did that for a good part of this sketchbook, but my next one I'm not going to do that, just because I couldn't really see my progression. You know, I can't look at the beginning and then look at the end and go, oh, wow, I improved in this. It's just sort of spread all over the place. But when we go through this, you'll see it's not in any kind of order. All right. So let's just start up here. I'm not going to go to every single page. I'll go to most of them, though. You know, when I said just sketching things around the house, this is that bourbon drink that I like so much. So this is a drink I was having with my husband on the patio. I will give the recipe if you would like it down in the comments. See, in May. But as I said before, I use this a lot when I traveled. And this year I was fortunate enough to go to France. And I did this picture in the airport and when we first got on the plane to sort of start off our travel journal section in May. And, you know, I drew a lady at the airport. I looked out the window and did the plane. I did the seats in front of us using pen and ink and then a watercolor wash. I have to admit, I love this page. I think maybe a little bit this is one of my favorite colors, this blue. The other is the fact that I kept it simple. I didn't go way over into detail, which is something I tend to do on my watercolors. So I've been working on that in my sketchbook. We got to France. I painted my cup of coffee in the cafe. I drew a man on the train. I got some new art supplies. I diddled with those. Here, this is not in France, but a double page spread I did experimenting with watercolor and then colored pencils on top of it. I liked how it turned out. It was challenging for me to try and show the trees in the background, so I worked on that a little bit. I liked it. This is a really pretty little creek. I think the next page we go back to France. Here we are. Another page I did with its multiple drawings on it, and I really like that look. I like that style. I'm going to try and do that a little more, I think, in my next sketchbook. This was a seagull that kept landing outside our window, so I made him Pierre, the French seagull. He's asking for a light. He's got his beret and his cigarette and his baguette, Pierre, the seagull. This was a medieval site we went to in Rouen where they used to where they kept the bones of plague victims. It had some amazing bas-relief in the woodwork. I tried to copy that, loved doing that. Sculpture at the church, and then there was a lot of medieval architecture that was challenging and fun to paint, so I worked on that. Again, on our trip, trying to get down the windows in the cathedral, of course, a bottle of wine. Another church, this is a clock tower of a little church in Honfleur. I was pleased with this one. I liked the colors. I really had to take my time with it, and I think it worked out well. Let's see. Again, in France, I like to draw in the car, and frequently what I draw in the car is the dashboard and then my foot. This is actually coming over from the beach, but I think I have these from France as well. And then I tried to do a drawing of my husband as he was driving the car. It turned out okay. He actually looks a whole lot more like Brad Pitt than he does in this picture. Another pen and ink and watercolor wash of a hotel we stayed in. Again, I was just trying to be loose and not get too into the detail. And there was this beautiful flowers over the door. Like I said, it's a great way to make a memory. When I see these, I go back to when I was painting them. And it's really, really fun. This was something I tried. I really got into seeing the capitals on the columns and the statuary. This was a statue of St. Vincent in one of the churches. I did it in pencil. Then I highlighted it with watercolor and surrounded it with watercolor. And I love this look. I love how it turned out. I should do some more of that. And I also surrounded him with grapevines because he is the patron saint of vine growers. Very good saint. But I just thought it was a neat drawing of him. In the train station, of course, that's a great time to draw. It worked out well when just waiting for a train. This was another drawing of a sculpture on top of a column. It was in a chateau. It was a man blowing his horn. I really challenged myself to get the detail in with this one. It was fun to do. I loved doing this one, and then I painted around it in the red and put some little fleur-de-lis. This little rose bush was from a place where we ate lunch. Just a lunchtime sketch. I sketched a map of the area we stayed in and tried to use a limited palette to color that in. It was fun. Again, in France, this is the Church of Saint-Germain in Paris. I did a pencil sketch of this first, and I loved the pencil sketch. But I wanted to see what would happen then if I inked over it. I honestly liked the pencil sketch more. It was really delicate and pretty, but this is fine. This is nice. And what's the sketchbook for if I'm not going to experiment? So this was just seeing what would happen, and I like it, though. It still reminds me of where we were. This was a lady in a magazine ad. She looked very judgmental, and I just wanted to catch her expression. And yes, she's judging you. She was the judging lady. You'll see a lot of these pictures are from the beach where I would sketch family and friends. When you're sitting in any location just for a long period of time, I find it's a great time to pull out your sketchbook and work on your drawing skills. So that's what I've done here, this side in pencil and this side in pen and ink. Some more pencil drawings, a little portrait of Frida Kahlo, just because I love her. I did that, and then actually I went back to this one just a couple of nights ago and strengthened some of the darks and the lights. I mean, it's a great thing I've learned about having a sketchbook. If I don't like something, I can always go back and do it over and change it up. Once again, at the beach with a stormy sky, and there's this big mud flat in front of here. I could have done a better job with this, I think. I just didn't differentiate between light and dark enough. It's all sort of one shade. If I had to do this again, I would make lighter lights between the darks. I would focus more on the sky. A lot going on there, but I was learning. working on drawing people, faces, portraits. I have a hard time with profiles. I need to work more on those. This is my son on the beach reading his book, one of my sons. And this I did with a camera lucida. I bought one, and a camera lucida is an invention from maybe the Renaissance, post-Renaissance period. There is a long, like, stick, flexible, on mine, flexible pole that has a prism in the top, and you can look through the prism. You set it up over your paper with whatever you're going to draw in front of you, and you look through the prism and you can see at the same time whatever you're drawing, but also see your hand on the paper. So it's almost like you're tracing, but you're seeing your hand and you're seeing the object as you draw it. It takes some skill to learn how to do it, but I did this drawing of a Kachina doll that my parents have with that. And then I also did this sketch of some of my family with this. The problem was people have to sit super still if you're going to be using a camera lucida. So you have to work quickly if you're going to do it. But I was pleased with these. I started to experiment also with colored pencils, mixing. I only brought 4 with me on my trip: yellow, green, blue, and sort of a reddish orange. And challenged myself to just use those 4 colors. I also tried to challenge myself to do pen and ink drawings without doing a pencil sketch first. Yeah, the worst drawing of sunglasses ever. Maybe not the worst ever, but not the best. So this was without a pencil sketch first. This was with a pencil sketch first. And I think you'll see in the book, it's something I really want to do, be able to draw in pen and ink without putting down a pencil sketch first. It's not my forte. I'm coming to realize you see a lot of drawings in here where I'm trying to do that. Let's see again. I was working on perspective with this drawing. It took me quite a while to get this down. I was looking down our porch, and there were all of these other porches in a line beyond ours. I sort of realized I can draw quickly and not very well, or take my time and draw slowly and do a much better job. And I've come to be suspicious of anyone who shows something like this and goes, it was a quick sketch. I don't know, maybe as you get better, you can get faster, but I am just not quick with my drawing, and that's come to be okay. I'm fine with that. At the beach again, I love to take my watercolors out on the beach. They're now full of sand, but they're still good. I painted these oyster shells. I painted this crab shell that we found on the beach, and I also experimented a little with using a gel marker. A gel pen, a white gel pen to put the highlights in. Some antique lanterns that I saw in an antique shop. They were really fun. They were cool. They're nautical lanterns for the most part. I drew them from a photograph and then began to watercolor it. I haven't finished it. This is where I really realized that, yeah, this paper is not great for watercolor paper. For doing watercolors on, but I think it turned out okay. Here we get to some, like I said, the memories that you bring back when you do drawings in a sketchbook. It's almost like your little personal photo album. This was from a 4th of July I spent with my parents when we went to a winery and sat in the yard and had this beautiful view in Virginia. It was gorgeous. Again, 4th of July, I tried a watercolor with a flag and some fireworks. I was really pleased with how this turned out. I didn't do an erasable pencil sketch first, but I drew it in colored pencil. I really felt like I sort of captured how my friends look. This friend wears gloves on the beach. She wants to protect her hands. It was pretty funny. But I thought the proportions worked out well. It looks a little bit like them. I was happy with it. A sketch using Felix Schoenberg style from that Domestica course that I took with just pen and ink and wash of just different items that I put out on my kitchen counter. And here again, I'm trying to sketch. I had a new fountain pen, working with that fountain pen and trying to sketch without making a pencil drawing first. I'm not crazy about it. It's just not my favorite way to sketch. This was another vacation drawing. I was at a winery with some friends, and we were at a round table with a little fire pit in the center. So fun. And I sketched my friends sitting around the table and then had each of them sign it. It was very cold that day. It was a great trip. Again, when I'm in the car, sketch the dashboard. You know, it was the only thing sitting still in the car that I could do. I don't get car sick doing it. And I just sketched the whole thing as we were driving to Florida one time. Again, a pencil sketch, a colored pencil sketch, trying to show my viewpoint with my book and my feet out in front of me. And I was working on this technique where I started with a light colored pencil. In this case, it was the green. I drew the whole scene with the green pencil first. Then, seeing what mistakes I'd made and proportion and thing, I used the orangish reddish pencil and drew it out next and made some corrections, and I put in all the wicker. Then I used my blue pencil to go in and make sort of the final drawing, and you end up with this layered pencil drawing, layered color pencil drawing that is really fun to do. I love how this looks, and I've got several drawings like this in here. We'll see more of them later. This was a sketch of Mardi Gras. We love Mardi Gras. And so I worked from my Mardi Gras photos and did this. Again, using that layered colored pencil technique. Yellow pencil first, drawing this gentleman who was riding on the MARTA, the mass transit here. Yellow pencil first, then made corrections with orange, and then finalized my corrections with the blue. And you end up with just this sort of colorful drawing here. Same thing on a train, using the yellow. I think on this one I used, looks like all four colors, starting with the yellow, moving to the green, then to the red, and then to the blue. Some friends on the train. This is from the Domestica course I did, a fish loosening up. I love how simple it is, and it was easy to do. Here we're back in France. This was a sketch I did of a view out of my window. While I was there, I caught COVID and ended up being quarantined in my room for several days. And when I felt well enough, I was able to sit in the windowsill and sketch. I couldn't go out with anybody. I couldn't do anything. I was so thankful I had my sketchbook with me and that I was able to spend the time drawing while I was in there. It was just a real blessing to be able to do that. Unfinished drawing of a train. Some more pen and ink and watercolor. I was experimenting with splattering on these. I like how it turned out, and this was a very loose sketch. I didn't think I was going to like it, but when it was done, yeah, I was pleased with it. I love to draw in the airport. It's not I'm at the airport all the time, but when I'm there and you're waiting for a plane, nothing better I like to do. I was on a trip. I was able to go have dinner at Bobby's Burger Palace and took the time to sketch my view from my table. I never finished painting it. I should go back and do that. But I really love this drawing. I've worked hard on it. Let's see, just random sketches of friends and family and pets. Look, a camellia my dad gave me. And this one I tried doing just graphite pencil and then covered over it with colored pencil. I didn't really like how it turned out, but it was a fun experiment to do. I don't know if any of y'all are familiar with Garth Williams, who was a well-known children's illustrator. He illustrated the Little House on the Prairie books, all sorts of things. Charlotte's Web, Stuart Little. And so I just tried to do some little mouse drawings in his style. A mouse having tea, a mouse with a gift. This is my favorite, the sad mouse holding his tail. I really love how that turned out. It's one of my favorites. A sketch from Mardi Gras of flambeau carriers. These are men who walk down the street in front of the floats, and these are gasoline-powered flames that come up out of these poles, and these are reflectors, and they light the way before these floats. And so I did some sketches of them, trying to show the light very, very loosely in here. If you hear like huffing and maybe a little barking, that's my dog is over on the bed over there. I'm not alone while I'm doing this. Again, trying to sketch without using pencil first. Not my strong point. This was at Christmas. I went with family. I sketched my mother on her iPhone. Just a line drawing. I like how it turned out. My daughter saw it and said, that looks just like Nana. So it made me feel good. So, you know, it's always a challenge just to draw a complete room from where you're seeing it. Again, in that Felix Schoenberg style, this was from a photo I took of the Cité Metro stop in Paris, which is one of my favorite stops. It's really beautiful with lots of reflected light. So I did a lot of pen and ink. I shaded with the pen. I just tried to be loose with the watercolor and show the reflection. It would have been easier on watercolor paper, but I was pleased with this one and like how it turned out. Now, you might have seen some of these drawings that are coming up on my previous YouTube video about where I've done drawing every day for 2 weeks. And this was the first one I did. So a lot of the rest of the book, not all of it, but a lot of it is drawings that I did when I started drawing every day, which was now probably about a month ago. I've been doing that for about a month. This was the first drawing I did in trying to draw every day. Just a quick 10-minute sketch of my dog, who is now getting off the bed and making noise, and sitting in her bed up in our room. I'll be right back. I'm going to let the dog out. Maybe she knew I was talking about her. I was practicing over on this side for some hand lettering I was asked to do, working with strokes and learning how to do that. And again, practicing for hand lettering with some markers I got. I'm not really familiar painting with markers. And I realized this book is not great for doing that because you couldn't layer the markers without them all going through not just one page, but on to the next page. So I will do that in a different sketchbook. Again, getting to the daily art, I did my breakfast. This one came after this one. This came before this one. This was a setup outside. The paper just fell apart as I was watercoloring it. It was really a challenge to do. I like how it turned out in the end. And then I put it up on YouTube and people made not nice comments about it. But, you know, I've learned you just have to have a thick skin when it comes to putting things out there and accept other people don't have the same opinions as you. And some people are just not very nice, you know, but that's okay. That's their problem. A stein was a gift from our son. I experimented with putting gold paint pen on this. My teapot. I do not like this drawing. It could have been much better. Again, getting ready to take off at the airport, and I did this sketch of a plane that I started when I was sitting and waiting for my flight, and then finished on the plane. It was super fun to do. A dog, of course. This is my daughter's dog. And then I ventured a little further afield. I did this one just a couple weeks ago at a Starbucks. I asked their permission before I drew them, and then took a photo, but then sat there and worked from life until we had to leave. And then I was able to finish my painting and drawing from the photo at home. And I am so pleased with this. This might be the drawing I'm most proud of in this book. Just I could tell my drawing skill had improved over time with this, and I just liked it. I also like the way it looked, just testing out the colors on the opposite page. It makes a nice balance, I think. This is interesting and complements this. I'm going to do that more, definitely, I think. Again, drawing on the MARTA train here in Atlanta. Try to do it without staring at people. That's a little hard. But again, working on sort of that perspective. It wasn't perfect, but I think you got the idea of the train and how it was. One of my sons reading, I like this one. I sort of captured how he looked, which is hard to do. And it's just so typical of him. It's a good memory. This is very special. This is my new baby granddaughter. I love this drawing. I just did this the other week. So something really sweet and special. And that's the type of thing you can do with these sketchbooks. You know, make your memories in them. Painted my foot. Nice and colorful with my new sneakers. And then I painted my art supplies. I think it's a good idea to paint your art supplies. sort of in gratitude for all they're doing for you. This is my travel watercolor set, and I might do a review of it later. I got this and thought, I'm not sure how it's going to work, and I love it. It was just an inexpensive watercolor travel set that my daughter-in-law gave me. It's great. I also have gotten into painting candies lately. This was the first one I did. I had so much fun. I was really pleased with how the drawing turned out, and then I got to eat the Skittles when I was done. What could be better? A drawing of a tower in a park. Again, I did the samples, the test swatches over here of my paints, and I like how it turned out. It was nice. This was a pair of earrings that belongs to my mom. I set them on the table and making something small, larger, and more important in a painting. I liked how it turned out, and I was working on the reflections in here, and then trying to make the background really dark and this lighter. I put it up on YouTube, and someone told me it looked like a banana. But I had to say I could see it. It does look a little like a banana, but it's actually earrings. You can sketch anything around the house. I didn't know what to sketch. There was a jar of leaf on the counter, and so I went for that. This is a photo from Mardi Gras, one of the floats, and I was trying to make it look how it looks in the evening, where it's lit up and then darker in the background. I think I need to use a little more contrast when I'm doing that, but A for effort, in my opinion. A portrait of a friend, and then a picture at the car wash. You know, sitting at the car wash waiting for my car to get done. Again, I did my technique of drawing out while I'm there. I took a photo of the view, and then when my car was ready and I wasn't done, I was able to take it home and finish it up here at home from the photo. This was really working on backlighting. Everything was backlit. It was early in the morning, and there were some strong shadows. It was really fun and a little bit of a challenge to do. I enjoyed it. Let's see. Yep, Dum Dum Candy. That did not turn out as well as I had hoped. It was really hard to do. I believe I showed y'all this in the back of the book. Like I said, I would not jump around in my book. My next one, I won't do that. And we'll finish with this. This is an early one, too. This was a vase of Nandina that I had on my dining room table. Just a winter flower decoration at the beginning of the year. And I like how bright it is and how simple it is. Again, I look through here and I can remind myself of things I want to do again. And definitely I want to try and draw more simply like this. So there you go. That was my sketchbook. I hope you enjoyed seeing it with me. And if you liked this, please leave a comment. Let me know what you thought. I hope it encourages you to start a sketchbook habit. And then I hope you'll also give this video a thumbs up. And if you like it, please subscribe to my channel. I'm putting out a new video every week. And you can click the bell icon to be notified whenever I put out a new video. I think there is a subscribe box. I think it's down in this corner, a little red box. I could be pointing to the wrong corner, but check it out. And thanks again for watching. Take care and happy painting. Bye-bye.